Okay, boys and girls, welcome back. Redmissed in the house once again. How you doing? I hope everyone's doing great. I'm doing great. And we, my friends, are playing some more Magic Legion. Now, I've got a few people in game that have sent me a message and have turned around and said, how have you got good damage at so low level? Now, obviously, I've leveled up a fair bit on this account, but on my other accounts, I'm like level 35, but I'm still rocking like 150,000 damage, which is quite a lot of damage for such a low level. Now, I'm going to show you a quick little tip that I tend to do in order to get myself good damage low level. Um, and continue to do a little bit further on. But as I move up the ranks, I kind of change things round slightly to give myself a little bit more survivability. But one thing that I tend to do at the early stages of the game is I focus on damage so that I can obviously steamroll through the quick objectives. Now, obviously, when you start off a very first account, you kind of get this stage race thing going on. Now, when you start that off in the first place, for getting to the the ancient dragon level 50, this one right here, but for the level 50, I'm not sure if it's now going to be the same case, obviously, when we're in the brand new update, but you get like 1,000 gold for doing the stage race at the very beginning of starting the game. Sorry, 1,000 gems. So you can get a lot of gems very, very quickly at the very beginning. So you want to be able to have enough battle strength in order to be able to get to the desert zone, because you want to be able to fight the it's not the ancient at all, is it? It's the guy at the end of here. Like, as I say, with the brand new update, I don't know if they still haven't tested out a new server since the update a couple of days ago. But when you beat this guy here, you used to get 1,000 gems, as well as all of the other stuff that you got for making it to this boss within, I think it was within 4 or 5 days of starting a brand new server. I'll possibly go check it out after this video and see if it's still the same. But what I want to show you is, obviously, on this account, I have quite high level cards, but you need to focus on crit. Okay, so I've changed things up in this particular setup. But if you focus upon crit damage and tanky troops, so if you have anyone in the front lines that are gonna have, like, if you've got some 6 stars, that's fantastic. But for low level, you want HP. You don't really need your heroes to do much damage, because it's your leader that does the most damage. These guys do some good amount of damage, like, don't get me wrong, like Arno and stuff do a ton of damage, but in comparisons to what you can do yourself, they're nowhere near as strong as what you can be. So, what you need to remember is, if you work on damage, you're going to be able to do a ton more damage than what your heroes can do, because you have spells. So, what you need to do, you need to go over to the library. As soon as you unlock the library, you need to go into the library, you need to go to the passive spells, and you need to click through and look at every single one. Every single one that you see that has crit, you buy. Okay? So once you buy the crit damage, you go through this for every single one. So go through the novice. If you've got the moderate, then go through the moderate and buy skills in here that are obviously saying crit. So, like, such as that one right there. Let's read that one. That's going to give us another 20% crit. This one here is going to give us 40% crit damage. So, if you pay attention to when I was just showing you just a second ago, my crit damage is at 30%, okay? Our crit damage is at 222%. So that's a lot of damage. But ideally you want to have the crit potential at like 100%. If you can get it to like 100%, you are absolutely laughing. So if you then come down onto here, like as I say, I've reset my abilities and gone into magic power and HP, because I've gone past that zone that just having damage is good. I now have to have survivability. But what you could do is, if I just quickly go down here and just reset these ability points for 50 gems, what you can do is, if you just go ahead and put some stuff into crit possibility, just say we put 40% into that. Okay, now look at the amount of crit percent that that's going to give us. Okay, now if we go up into here, that crit possibility is now at 70%. So that means every single time I hit with a normal melee attack or a spell, I have a 70% chance to crit. Now when I crit, I'm gonna do an extra 222 damage. That's gonna be crazy. So for example, if I come over here and I go to my formation and I show you my spells, for example, the ancient spell here is going to make enemies have 50% less magical and physical attack, also 50% less magical and physical defense. So they're going to take 50% more damage. Every time the earthquake hits, it's going to deal 150% damage. If this skill crits, on top of that 150% damage, it's going to get an extra 222 damage. So it's going to get 372% extra damage when I use this skill if it crits. That's a lot of damage. And I want to go ahead, like I'm going to continue to fight in this thing where I kind of left off just before the update. And I'm going to stay with the crit potential as such. So let me just quickly go back in here, in fact, because I didn't spend all of the points, did I? So obviously you want a little bit in the HPs because you don't want to be squishy and die. So you go ahead and put bit in the HPs. You want to have magic attack because of obviously having more damage from that. And you also want to put a few points into M hit. Now M hit means that you're not going to miss as much shots. The higher that is, the less ability you have of missing a shot, which means you're gonna crit more. So that's the idea behind obviously getting more damage. And if you look at my damage still at the top, 24,000. So I've not lost any strength in the setup of things. I've literally just changed how my normal hero is gonna work. Now I'm not too sure how well I'm gonna do right now because I am looking at the top end of my team's capability. But obviously the more HP that you have, the more damage you have, the quicker you're gonna kill things, the less damage you're gonna take. So if you've got people like my heroes are actually in completely the wrong position, so I'm not sure how well I'm going to be able to do here, but obviously the more crit potential you have, the better it's going to be. Like as you just saw there, that was a crit shot right there. I'm going to go ahead and send in this rockfall, and you can see, like, look at the crits. Every time it procs up saying CRT, that means that your shot has crit. That means that that particular thing has done more damage. So if you look there, that was a crit shot. The higher your crit capability, the more damage you're gonna do. And this is the key to fighting against those stronger opponents. Now, I know in previous videos I've turned around and said you want to focus on HP and stuff. Yeah, you want to focus on HP, but this is for those people that are saying that they want to be able to do the damage. Now, in the early stages of the game, I would completely agree. For like the first three maps or the first three zones, I would 100% agree. Focus on damage because of the fact of you're going to be able to wreck the enemy team very, very quickly. You're going to be able to move through those first few maps very, very fast. But the problem with moving through the map quick is unless you do the tips that I've showed you in the previous videos of going and buying the bronze, silver, and gold chests from the market, you're not going to level up your gear that quickly because you're going to move through the stages really, really fast. So you're going to have to kind of go back and replay certain zones, like play boss fights over and over and over again so you can get legendary gear, so you can get purple gear, and then once you start getting that, you can move up. Now, the only problem that I find if you focus yourself on heavy damage, especially if you focus your heroes, because it's all great if you focus your main hero, like yourself, in full attack, but if you start focusing your heroes attack, they're not going to survive. And if they don't survive, you can't do damage because your whole team is dead. So you need to have those heroes that are gonna be able to survive if you particularly put yourself into full attack mode. Now, not only do you have to have that sort of understanding of having particular heroes that are going to survive and stuff, but you need to kind of work on your skills. Now, the skills that you can see on the map or on the board are predominant skills that I like to use at the moment, but as I move up through the levels, obviously I've changed my skills. So if you're on, say, level or zone 1, 2, 3, 4, some even 5 perhaps, you might not have the currency to go and buy the curse, because I think it costs something like, I think it's like 5,000 or 10,000 of the wing things. I can't think of what they're called right now. You might not have the runes or whatever to go buy the elemental hill. You might not have the runes to go and buy the piggin. So you kind of need to work on saving for the correct stuff. So I wouldn't just turn around and say, oh, well, Red has told me for these first few levels I need to go power. Let's go buy everything that's going to increase my power and my crit, because I'm going to be able to storm through the map. It's not the case. Now, if you look at, for example, if I go into my mounts, I'm using the Velociraptor right now, as you guys know, because I love him. So he's got speed, he's got the potential of giving me rage and stuff. But for low level, you might not have him. You might have someone, say, like the Brown Lion, who is going to go give you some hit potential, which is going to be great, because it means that your physical heroes aren't going to miss as much. So therefore, aim your team around tanky physical people, because they're not going to, if you give them HP, they don't need the damage because they need to survive. So you can focus on putting your heroes into HP zones. So that's one of the reasons why I really love this guy, because he doesn't attack, so you can go ahead and build up his endurance and his HP. I've put a little bit into P defense and magical defense, just because of the fact of I wanted him to have a little bit more resistance against physical and magical attacks, because I've put him in the front row. But low level, if you're able to go and come on like the Source of Fear, that's great, because you don't have to put anything in attack. You can just build up everything into the HPs. The Ancient Droid is another great one. Like, you can literally just go put everything into HPs. The Snow Lord, he's great. You can go into HP. He's going to survive. he's going to do an okay amount of damage, but he's going to survive. Because, like, when you go for yourself on full attack, you're the damage dealer. So, therefore, your heroes just need to tank for you and do a little bit of damage. But when you sort of move up higher into the next zones, like where I'm fighting now, for example, you need to go for a little bit more survivability. So you might not be able to do a glass cannon setup, because if you fight a boss and the boss has an AoE attack, you're going to die very quickly. If you're fighting anybody that has heroes that purposely focus you as a hero, you're gonna die very quickly. So you have to have that survivability. So, as I say, for the first 3 levels, it is a very good option, but I wouldn't make it your main priority going full attack mode. But if you are gonna go full attack mode, then don't make that silly mistake that a lot of people do and turn around and say, well, I've got like, my magic attack has got like 70% and somebody's just gone and done more damage than me, and he's a lower level. That's because he's focused on crit damage, not magic damage. Now, the difference between magic damage and crit damage is magic damage is how much damage you do as standard with that spell. So, for example, Rockfall might go and hit for 7,000 damage if you've got 70% on your magic's damage. Someone else might only have 50% on the magic damage, but he might have 40% crit damage. When that damage crits, it's going to get an extra 40% damage on top of that. So he's going to go hit you for, I don't know, say randomly 9,000 damage. So the possibility of him doing more damage from a spell is much greater. And then obviously if he has that crit chance up high, then he's going to consistently do more damage. Because if he's got, say, 100% crit chance, he's going to crit every single time. If he doesn't have 100% crit chance, then you're probably going to kill him. But if he's critting on every single attack, doing that bonus crit damage, he's going to kill you. It's as simple as that. No matter how much you have in magic damage, if he has better crit damage than you, with just a little bit of magic damage, he's going to be stronger than you are. It's as simple as that. That is why, though, focusing on those 2 skills, the crit and the crit damage, is very important. But we're gonna come away from that now. I just wanted to explain that. I'm sorry it was kind of like rambling on a little bit, but I wanted to show you and explain why or how I was getting good damage so early on. As you can see here, I think I've kind of now reached the potential of my team in this zone, and this is one of the other reasons why you kind of want to go for survivability, because as you just saw there, my Arno got absolutely destroyed, and that's the problem when you're going crit damage. Like, I probably could have kept him alive if I had changed him up and put him more survivability rather than damage, but hey, it's just the way it is sometimes. Like, we're definitely not going to be able to beat this guy. He is going to wreck us, unfortunately. But we're going to see. We're going to continue to try, and maybe we're going to be able to do some good stuff and things. One thing that kind of annoys me is that you can't really see the hits and stuff, but if you look up at the top where the health bar is, you can see misses and you can also see crits. Now, those misses are coming from the fact of the M hit isn't very high on my heroes and stuff, so it means that the shots are less successful in hitting, whereas if the M hit is a lot higher, you're not going to miss those shots. So bear that in mind as well. If you're finding it hard fighting bosses like this, like I'm finding it hard killing this boss because I've lost my source of damage is Arno. If I go ahead and do the same thing, like let me come out of this real quick and re-attack this boss, but with Arno in the team, like see if I can actually get Arno to survive. Let me quickly use those cards as well. So, like, look at this, guys, as well. Like, when you come down here, if I go over here, for example, and I put these into magic hit, that's going to mean that I'm going to have a better success rate on hitting people. Like, I've got a 5.5% extra chance at hitting people. Now, if you look at Arno, he is majority set up for damage, because obviously he's a huge damage dealer, but then that means he doesn't have as much survivability chance. But if you look at the other hero stats, like look at, for example, the Dragon Princess, her crit chance is at 60%, so that's quite good. These guys don't need crit chance, so I'm not focusing on crit at all. And that's sort of what you need to think about. You need to think about what heroes are going to provide for your team. And obviously Arno is a huge damage dealer, but because he's in the front row, I kind of need to make him more survivable. So what this spell does, this very first spell, that's going to make him more survivable, because it reduces the enemy's attack power. So as you can see here, like look at this, guys. Arno has already taken like half health, but by putting this regeneration skill on, we're going to be able to do some tons of damage. And look at the difference. Because I've got Arno, who is a huge damage dealer, as well as myself, we've already done as much damage to him as we done in the last video and in the last battle, and the last one was running tons. And it's all because of that very first skill, reducing the damage and stuff. Now look at the secondary skill, which is the pig. And now watch him die. Like, he's going to be dead, end of. Because I have two big damage dealers in the team. Now, not only do I get the bonus from the princess, but obviously Arno is a huge DPS glass cannon. So, setting him up in a way that he's going to do the maximum amount of damage is great. But you've got to be cautious as to how you're doing things, because you can't win if you don't have damage, but then you can't win if you only have damage, if that makes sense. So if you've got tons of damage but no survivability, you're going to lose. But then if you've got tons of survivability and no damage, you might not win, because you might not have the time to win. Okay? So, I think killing that boss, I think we're going to leave it there. And I really hope that you've learned a little bit. I really hope that you're going to be able to improve your team and maybe readjust your skills. Like, don't be afraid of resetting your spells, resetting your attributes and putting them in different things. But just think about sort of what you're doing and who you're doing it for. So, if you've got somebody that is like a huge damage dealer like Arno, then yeah, you're probably going to want to focus on the strength. But if you've got someone like the Dragon Princess, you're probably going to want to focus on a 50-50, so that she's got survivability, but she's also got damage. If you're running someone like the War Mage, he doesn't need to attack, so you want to focus on survivability. So you're going to want to go for HP and defenses. The Witch, again, she's not going to focus the enemy team, so again you want number HP and defensive. If you've got people like the Source of Fear, you want to focus on a 50-50, because he heals himself for more if he attacks for more. So I would literally put him at 50-50 on stats between strength and HP, because obviously you want him to survive, but then you want him to do damage. Also, his skill to AoE attacks, so he does tons of damage. People like the ancient droids, you might as well just go for survivability, because if they're just sit in front, they're gonna take a lot of damage, because these guys have a ridiculous amount of HP. And that goes for the Snow Ice Lord as well. The Snow Ice Lord has a ton of damage, a ton of HP, and the Ancient Droid 2 has a ton of HP. Them three are very good for the front lines, but I'm going to stop talking. If you have any questions, make sure you put down comments down below. If you want any advice on how to trait a certain hero, by trait I mean put his ability points in stuff, if you're a bit unsure, then just put down the name down below and I would tell you what I think, and maybe it will help you guys out. I don't know, but I shall see you in the next one. Peace on the streets. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Peace.